Are you ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for showing up tonight. We've got one item of business, and that is the employees' health insurance program. We're going to come to a conclusion tonight, I hope. So this is unfinished business, and we're going to talk about the employee health benefits workshop real briefly. And I think what we can do to start with is narrow these options down to probably two. I think there's two options that I believe are the main options for everybody. Is that correct, Kwame? The HMO plan plus the current plan that they have now.
Right, and last meeting, Mr. President, we had some concerns with the HMO plan and its restrictions, and then there are a number of special questions with regard to this overall as well.
Okay.
And I can recount those for the board.
All right.
Yeah, it might be helpful if One Digital goes over those two options that you're talking about. Plus, I believe they have some new information as well. So I don't know if you want to lead with that, and then we can go over the two options and then see where we stand and then go into questions.
Perfect.
So actually, the delay helped us out a little bit, because when principal found out that you guys might be changing carriers on your ancillary, they said, whoa, hold up, wait a minute, let us take another stab at it. So while we're still recommending that you move to US Able for your life insurance so we can get the additional discounting on the Florida Blue medical plans, principal has agreed to hold the rates on your dental for one more year, your vision for 2 years, and your disability products for another 2 years as well, okay? So basically, we're at a flat renewal on all of your ancillary. With the life insurance, we even got a decrease from Florida Blue with US Able, so your actual employer-paid life insurance will be decreasing. Outside of that, we're still looking at the PPO plans and the HMO plan. I think we all can agree that you guys, from what I heard, probably not really interested in looking at United Healthcare.
I think we can rule them out. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's going to be such a disturbance for the employees. I definitely am not leaning that way, and I know I've heard a couple more members. Yeah, but I don't think that's an option. Right?
Yeah, so basically, now we're just looking at, do you want to renew with your current plan and add the HMO, or do you simply want to keep your current medical plan and renew with that one?
Okay. All right. Well, that's definitely good news. That's great news.
And what we did, just so you know, is you will have an updated, this is in your folders, it's got the updated details. So that will show you, based on the package that you choose, what the overall annual savings or annual increase will be per product. And so if you guys want to look at the first page, let me know where you guys want to start, and we can review how that looks.
So I need some clarification.
There you go.
Did I turn it
That's
on? So I had asked, so what are we looking at here? Okay, Jeff said that the new one that we're looking at, if we stay with the one that we have now, it's going to be $1,883,736.
Well,
And
for the
then
fully insured.
76% of that goes to Holly Navarre Water System.
Say that again? Yeah, that's an approximate figure. So
Okay,
just based on employees, just figure about 3/4 of the total overall cost is Holly Navarre. Around 17% was Club Hidden Creek, 7% was Medicare.
Yeah.
That's based on number of employees. But keep in mind, within each entity, they don't have the same distribution of employee only and family. So I don't have those exact numbers. I don't know if you guys have either the exact dollar value that gets attributed that
I
way.
really don't need that, but the thing about it is that how much was ours for 2025? Because we budgeted $1.5 million.
That's for the 56 Holly Navarre employees, the $1.5 million.
So I can answer that question for
Okay.
you, and it's actually right on your sheet. For the entire population, your 2025, the cost for last year was 1.746. That was for all benefits.
That includes ancillary.
That includes all of your ancillary, right?
Okay, and
If
that
we're looking at,
includes Holly Navarre only or Holly
All three.
Navarre?
All three.
That's all three.
Yeah.
Okay.
your medical spend for last year was 1.628
For the medical only.
for the medical only, and that was for all three entities.
And I actually think, Jared, our budget numbers are a little higher because I think we assume there may be some staff growth or something. Because if you add up the three budget numbers, it's a little more than that. So that's not the exact number, but yeah.
So with the same exact plan, what is it now with the changes you were talking about earlier?
If you keep the exact same plan and we keep, the Florida Blue PPO plan only, it would be, your medical would be, and this is on your second page, if you look at, it says Florida Blue, fully insured with US Able Life. Your projected monthly cost would be $146,651. That's for your medical PPO plan.
It's monthly.
Monthly, right? Mm-hmm. And then your overall annual cost with your medical and your ancillary would be 1.878 million. So an overall total package increase of 124,000,
Monthly.
239 annually.
That's
Annual.
annual, that's
Total,
total.
that's annual.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not
less than 125,000.
Yeah. That's not.
What's the difference between page 1 and page 2
Yeah,
other than page 2?
Pam had that same question. Remind them the
Yes.
difference between the fully funded and the blended, please.
Yeah, so right now you're on what's called balance funded. Balance funded, we moved you to that platform last year. Florida Blue showed us some savings with that platform last year. We moved you to that. We discovered this year that by staying on that platform, they're actually gonna start charging an additional 3%. We looked at the data. It does provide some data. Chad speaks well on this, but it's not really great data, right? It's not worth the 3%. So they said, hey, if you want to negotiate this with us some more, let's move you back to fully insured, and we can start negotiating that back down. And that's what we did.
So, long story short, that first page was just for informational purposes. The most competitive plans are going to be going back to the model that we've been on for years and years on that second page, which shows that we landed on an 8% negotiated renewal for the medical.
For the medical. And that's on the second page. That's right at the top line, 8.06%.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And you'll see, if you look at that first page, you'll notice it was 11.85. So there's that 3 points that we saved by moving back to the fully insured model rather than the balance funded.
Are there any
What I came up with
deductibles
was 123.
that the employees pay in these scenarios or have paid in 2025? Are they required to pay any deductibles?
Yes, you do have a $500 deductible. And that only applies to certain items. It doesn't apply to everything.
The vast majority are co-pays with this particular plan. But with the deductible, when does that deductible fall into place? It's durable medical equipment, wheelchairs, crutches, what are some other?
Hospice, home health services, rehabilitative services, things like that.
So it's not a lot.
It's not the typical everyday items that people use, right? Because on your, if you look, if we break it down, you go to your doctor, it's $20 copay for your primary care. If you need to have any kind of independent diagnostic testing, $150, x-rays, $50, things. So it's a flat copay for the majority of your items.
Okay, so what this health plan covers is this a true statement? My understanding is that this health plan covers primarily health. Then there are some ancillary things like vision, dental, life insurance, short and long-term disability. Is that a true statement?
That is a true statement, and the This year, our recommendation, so that you can get this lower increase, is to move the life, the employer-paid life, that brings us savings, and the voluntary life to US Able. US Able is a sister, basically, of Florida Blue. So by moving the life to Florida Blue, we were able to negotiate that down even
And
further.
they discount the medical because of it.
They discount the medical by, when we allow them to have the life insurance. It's, a lot of carriers do it, it's very common.
And how much is that life insurance coverage?
The life insurance is, for the employer-paid life insurance, it is, you're paying $385.32 a month, and
For a flat 25,000 of insurance per employee.
yeah, and then every employee has 25,000 worth of coverage. Now, with your dental, vision, and disability products, those are going to remain with Principal because Principal has given us a flat renewal on all of those products, no increases. And we did not have any carriers that were that competitive. The closest we had prior to moving, prior to Principal coming back and giving that, was with Guardian, and Guardian was actually imposing an increase of 8.8% on the long-term disability and 6% on the dental. And that was what we had discussed in our prior meeting. They were the most competitive. Again, we took it back to Principal and told them we're thinking about moving, and they said, well, let us look at it, and that's where we came back with a no increase on those lines of coverage.
And I've heard you say that this is 55 Holly Navarre water system employees, so the other for-profit areas, they're covered under this, but they pay their own premiums. Is that a true
The
statement?
companies. Yes,
The
it's true
companies.
that the companies pay their own premiums.
The club at Hidden Creek,
Pays
their
the premiums for
employees
their-
pay
yes.
their own premiums for their coverage.
But that's not
No,
correct. So
okay.
The wording's important here.
Okay, right.
The messy employees, their health care premium, the Club of Hidden Creek employees, their premiums are paid for by their company, not Holly Navarre Water System. They are not paid by the employees. It's the same plan.
Okay,
Is that what you're asking?
it is.
Okay.
Their
Am I saying that right,
company.
Jared? It's the same plan.
So let me ask you real quick, because I think the biggest, looking at the options we have, the biggest difference is the prescription drug cost. I mean, is that correct? Like,
When
if
we're looking at the HMO plans,
Yeah,
the biggest differences are going to be your network
yeah,
and your prescription.
and your
drug.
prescription drug
Mhm.
costs, okay.
So with the network, it's not covered if the medical is performed, whether it's in Florida, if it's out of network, just like what Medical Center is telling me, this HMO would not pay anything. It'd have to pay, would it pay anything at all?
There is
No.
no out
No
of network,
out-of-network.
only in emergency situations.
Okay, see that one, I can't go with that.
Well, but when you're thinking about out of network, this is something to think about, right? When you go out of network, you have a much higher deductible, even on a PPO plan, because like, for instance, on our $500 deductible plan that you currently have, right? You have a $750 out of network deductible. That will apply to everything, including doctor visits, pharmacy, it doesn't matter. You have to satisfy that full deductible going out of network. Once you.
Separate.
Yes, it's totally
Separate than the in-network. so
Once
totally
you go out of network and you satisfy that deductible, then Florida Blue is going to pay 60%. You're still going to be responsible for 40% with an out-of-pocket maximum of $5,000. However, if you hit that out-of-pocket maximum, your providers can continue to balance bill you because they are not under any contract with Florida Blue. So a lot of times, it seems like, yes, you have a more robust network, but it's not as robust as you think. It's not paying the same as in network. It's going to be totally separate.
But see, in my case, if I had that HMO today, I would not be able to go and have that procedure at all at the medical center.
Medical Center Clinic does take Blue Care.
Well, that's what I have.
But you
For
have a
yours is
Medicare,
Medicare.
yeah, it's Medicare, I've actually texted someone, but that
It's
Medicare
just
conversation, like, I can't even speak Medicare. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
even spell Medicare. It's like such a foreign planet to me. It's literally so separate. Those contracts are negotiated separately. But what I can say is within Florida Blue, with their group insurance and individual insurance, that Blue Care, Blue Options, the Truly Plan, I mean, all these different networks that they have, Blue Select, all of those are going to be in network for those facilities. So what a common thread and theme with insurance carriers today, whether it's United, whether it's Aetna, whether it's, and I'm going to go back to Florida Blue since that's the main part of this conversation, is that Blue Options is the grandfather old network that is a true full-blown PPO. You can go anywhere you want, self-refer yourself across the United States and go into, Oregon or wherever. As long as they're a Blue Cross provider, you're fine. Well, Blue Care came along. It's a self-referral HMO. It's not the old school HMO that we used to know where you got to get permission to go to a specialist. If I want to refer myself to Andrews, and because I know I've got a shoulder problem, I can go straight to Andrews with that. So no problem there. However, I have to be cognizant of going to an in-network only physician within that Blue Care network. If I cross a state line, it has to be emergency only. I cannot self-refer myself to MD Anderson in Dallas or Sloan Kettering in New York. It's specific to that. Now, let me take it a step further. As costs escalate and employers are trying to continue to afford medical insurance, Florida Blue came out within the last couple of years another network called Truly. Only Baptist is in that network. I mean, and not all the docs in Baptist are in that network. It is what I would, instead of a shotgun approach, and it's just spraying out to everywhere, it's more of a rifle approach saying you have to go here. And they are able to negotiate lower pricing with the discounting. And so therefore, that network is kind of like a drilled down, slimmed down network. I would not compare the HMO Blue Care network as really a slimmed down network, but it is an HMO that is, and HMOs are always in network only. So that's just a model of they don't pay the same level of taxes to the state that a full-blown PPO does, and there's some reasons why those are generally discounted networks, but normally on an HMO, we're normally about 10% less. So that's part of the reason why we're seeing the price differential there. But along with that price differential also comes with, remember that everything you're looking at on these pages, if it is red, it is a difference for the negative. If it's green, it's a difference for the positive for the employee. But
I also
it's a
have some
change.
additional information that Florida Blue did provide to us when we were looking at these plans, because we're not going to recommend a plan that we don't think is going to be good for your population. That wouldn't be good for you, it wouldn't be good for us. So based off of the claims that they looked at, they can look at all of the claims. 0.61% of your employees went out of network. Not 0.61. You had 99.39% of your claims were in network. I asked how many claims were processed out of state. She couldn't give me a percentage. However, you had just over $6,000 in out of state claims. So
But if
that's a very
if-
minuscule number.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Another thing, this HMO is going to end up costing the employee more money than the one that we have currently. Is that correct?
And
It does have
out-of-pocket
a-
cost, I believe.
It does have
Out-
a higher
Out-of-pocket
more.
maximum, that's correct.
It could, if somebody uses the benefit to the maximum,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Your regular, everyday employee is not gonna hit the 2,500 out-of-pocket maximum. Once you hit those out-of-pocket maximums, you're sick, you're going to the hospital, you're having surgeries. For those people who have day-to-day items,
Yeah.
I probably, I've gone to the doctor like 3 times this year, and I have a 3,500 out-of-pocket maximum, and I'm probably $500 into it.
And I do want to add that it is our job to educate and to and have eyes wide open to all of these different plans that are out there and look at, comparatively speaking to other insurance carriers, which we do when we go out for bid. But, you know, we're not trying to talk you into one way or another. We are here to really disclose the pros and cons of all these different networks. Generally, when we go out to RFP, we are trying to find ways to save money and with the least impact to the employee. So the best way for us to do that was to introduce that particular network with that particular plan. So if once budgets get to the point that we say enough is enough, we pay for 100% or whatnot, and we just have to find some money somewhere, that may be an option. So maybe we have the HMO, that's the 100% paid plan, and somebody, if they want the out-of-network component, they can buy up to that particular plan. So, but that can be a future decision, and if really we're just not ready to cross that bridge and go over to this HMO network.
And the reason we looked at these options, right, was because last year, you know, we were told we're going to have to start looking at some cost containment strategies. And this is, so we looked at numerous things, and this was, you know, what our recommendation is for those cost containment. Because it's really, even though it doesn't have the out-of-network, it's going to feel the least disruptive to your employees, because they're going to still have that minimal deductible and then have those majority of those items as co-pays.
So, I'm sorry, if I could interject real quick, I'd like to go ahead and get this down to the two options, and we still have three of them on the table. You know, you've got the 7-tier prescription plan, you've got the 10, 60, 100 prescription plan.
Yes, I think we decided last time that we talked that we weren't going to look at the 7-tier, we only wanted to look at
It's
the
too
3.
much.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what, because the 7-tier prices.
That would be disruptive.
That would be disruptive, correct.
And is that the one that includes the 50%
Yes.
that they would have to pay?
Okay.
And then this other one, how would that work? Because I know that we have 2 employees that take special medication. How would that work under the 3 tiers?
It
If we
depends
go
on
with
what
the
tier it would
HMO?
fall under. It depends on what tier it would fall under. And
What's the
right now,
max?
Worst case scenario would be 20%, right?
Max is
worst
150.
case
responsible
scenario
for
would be
20%
20% of the
drug
cost
cost.
of the drug.
Okay.
And if you
But
want to
again, they don't
flip,
pay any premium.
there's actually a spreadsheet
They pay
that talks
zero
about
premium.
that. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so
Company
right there, the
covers
7-tier,
Most
that provides potential increases for the 7-tier pharmacy. And we actually, I know we had it broken down, but I don't recall where we had that in your presentation, but we did have a little bit more of a breakdown, so.
I had it.
Oh, yeah, I've got it right here, actually. So on the 7-tier HMO, just so you guys know, I've got it pulled up here, it's not included in this. On the 7-tier HMO, there's Tremfya, that's a tier 7, so the employee would have to pay up to 50% on that. Also on the, I can't pronounce the other one, PALYNZIQ, it's a tier 3 specialty. Currently, if they were on the 7-tier, again, they would have to pay 50% of that. If they were on the 3-tier, on the new HMO, they would pay the tier 3 specialty cost. And that could be up to 20% of the cost of the drug.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around what the bottom line is. For 55 employees, what did we pay in 2025, and what are you projecting as the optimum choice for 2026?
So I would have to pull all of the data out of our enrollment system in order to
We didn't
get that.
separate them by
We
population.
didn't separate them by
separated that way.
population.
So they're with the other for-profits, is what you're
Yes.
saying?
Correct.
Okay, so 55 Holly Navarre Water System folks and 15 of the other
It's
for-profits.
more like 56, 12, and 5. Those are the numbers I recall. They may be off 1 or 2 in either direction, but
Okay, so I take a number and I divide it by,
it's not a direct proportion because, for instance, the 12 at the club could all be single employees or they could all be family. It's not a direct proportion, is all I'm saying.
And
It's
that
based on the
follows-
unique-
are we
Plan.
paying family,
we-
are families included in this as well?
Yes.
If they choose that, yes.
All dependent costs are wrapped
Yeah,
in
so-
that number.
Yeah,
So,
so there's an employee only, there's an employee spouse, employee children, and then family. Employee
So-
spouse and all, and the children.
so if we hire a new employee tomorrow and they want to add their family to it, we pay those premiums.
That's correct. After 60 days, 30 days? After 60 days, that's correct.
Sorry.
This is undoubtedly the most robust and comprehensive health plan I have ever seen. Typically, industries can go up to 80% in coverage. Florida Tax Watch has just advised the state of Florida no longer to pay 90% of a health care plan, but to drill down to 75%. If we were, this is unsustainable. Are we saying 1.8 million for this upcoming year? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes.
That and that does include dental insurance, life insurance, the disability insurance, and those
And
things
vision
as well,
insurance.
and vision. So all, that big number was wrapped into all those different insurances.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question maybe to you and Mr. Krigler, the CEO. What of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coverages, what of those are, with regard to the employees, do they not participate greatly in? Would it be the long-term health care or the short-term or vision or dental or any combination of the above?
I'm sure I understand the question.
The
Kind of
question
consistent
is, at some point, we're going to have to cut some coverages.
Well-
This is just unsustainable for the company. I'm just shocked at this.
You were on budget, Pam? You had budget? Who's on budget?
Right.
You budgeted how much towards healthcare?
$1.5 million. But that, I don't know. I
And
can't-
we're at 44% through the end of
Yeah,
June.
and I can't,
I mean, we
I
budget
can't-
for it, right?
I
Keep
don't
it
know
on.
if that
Yeah.
budget is for,
I'm just saying, we budget for it.
yeah, the budget, between the budget and what we're gonna go up to now, is like 124,000, which to me is not bad at all, to
Well,
keep
then-
what we have.
Yeah,
And again, Mr. Reynolds, the 1.8 that we're talking about is also
Yeah.
the other two entities that are factored into those costs as well, because we're just looking holistically about total costs going to collectively, the premiums here for that population. We've got the other two populations as well that are separate that are coming in, so that overall number includes those populations.
And it would be helpful to be able to do that breakout so we would know
I'm-
what that is per
I'm
employee.
working on that right now,
Okay.
actually. I pulled that report and I'm gonna do some quick calculations for you.
And if we were to pull vision and dental out, or if we were to pull out short-term or long-term disability, how would that affect the bottom line? I just can't. I know that since 2016, this has been on the streets as a platinum healthcare plan that exceeds that even of the military's healthcare plan. That was written in the newspapers, and the boards that have sustained this, I just have to question.
So I'm going to go ahead and call on Mr. Don Linnell, who wants to speak and address the board. He's a long-term board member, and I'm really interested to see what he has to say about this.
It'll be brief, and I appreciate it. Don Linnell, 2586 Second Court. First, quick question. We've been through, I've heard the number of 55 employees for Holly Navarre Water System specific. Is that all there is now, or is that just the ones that signed up for medical
that
benefit?
participate in the health plan.
Okay.
So there could be folks that either don't have it or have it through a spouse or whatever.
Okay. And you may have covered this last public workshop, and I apologize I wasn't there for that. May be the answer, but it tags on with what Carmen said. My background, defense industry, I think when I worked for Northrop in the 80s, they paid all the health benefits, but after that, I don't think any company did. So, and as she said, over the last several years, that's been the conversation I thought the board was talking about is how do we migrate to where the employees contribute towards the premium. But that sounds like that's not what we're talking about, right? That's not what you're talking about right now. I got to use the right phrase. I'm not on the board. Okay, I just wanted to be sure I understood that right.
Okay, correct. Thank you. Thank you, Don. So you said that because of the time lapse in between the meeting and this, that we were able to come up with better numbers, but it still looks like if we stay with this plan, it still looks like it's going up 7.11%. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so it's not really flat. It's
No,
the
that's
flat
for
was
the
on
principal. That was
the
for the ancillary.
For the
ancillary
ancillary,
stuff, which
okay.
is only,
Right.
a fraction of the overall.
I'm looking at the overall numbers right here. I think, in my opinion, if these are the options that we have this year, and I think it's one thing that the hardest thing to do is when you give an employee or somebody something and you let them have it for such a period of time, and then you start taking stuff away, it hurts. It's different than just not giving it to them to start with, and I had that situation in my last job a number of times. But I think Ms. Reynolds has an excellent point that we have got to start saving money, and we've got to start increasing the revenue. One big tragedy here in this community, and this company would be in big trouble. The last thing we need to do is go out and look for another loan just to cover basics. That's why we increased the rate 12%. We did that because it hurt the members, it hurt everybody, it hurt me. But we had to do it because we're looking at the numbers, and it's just not sustainable. So if we don't start reducing these numbers, and again, I think the employees here at the Holland Navarro Water System are doing an excellent job. Every one of them that I've met has just been top notch, and I'd love to keep everybody. But there's just a point where it comes to financing. We won't be able to afford it. It's going to continue to go up year after year after year. And at some point, unfortunately, they are going to have to start paying some premium. If this year we're able to drop our cost by 10%, just by switching to a different plan with the same company, so everybody's not completely, blown away with all they have to do with their medical issues. I know I've got medical issues. If we can do it as the least painful as possible, that's what I'm on board with. So
I think we've narrowed these down to two plans, the HMO and the PPO. And, the difference is the PPO is going to cost us $124,000 more a year than what it's costing us now. And the HMO would save us $184,000 from what we're currently paying. What are the key differences as far as how that would affect the employees? The prescription drug costs?
Yeah, I think
would
that's
be
pretty much what this slide does. So you gotta go and look at the differences. And I think the big ones are, if you have to go out of network, that'd be a big difference. And then the prescription drug costs for folks impacted by that.
And the network is huge, right? It's not a small group of doctors. It's a huge group of doctors all across the state,
It's
right?
large.
Yeah.
So,
And if the change was going to be in HMO, it would be our recommendation to continue to offer the PPO alongside. That way people, maybe the base.
because they can buy up, correct? They can buy up.
So the base program is the HMO, and then if somebody does say, hey, I've got special needs and I want to go to MD Anderson or a specialty clinic, UAB or whatever, they have that luxury to say, I'd rather pay another $100 a month and buy up to this plan to be able to do so. So these are two different conversations as far as choosing the medical plan, and then the contribution strategy is what Ms. Reynolds was speaking of. That's kind of another item to tackle.
Right. Yeah, because I'm looking at the employee buyout cost here, and it's less than what I used to pay for premium monthly. And it's just a one-time payment, right, of, $543.97, and that'll buy you up to the PPO plan.
That's per month.
That's per month?
That's per month, so you divide that by 2, and that's the amount per paycheck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still less than what I was paying for my premium every month. But again, we want to keep these employees. They're doing a great job. But I think at some point we're going to have to start just being.
The one thing I would add, Carmen mentioned the additional money. I want to point out that doesn't necessarily mean that our budget for 2026 will be over by that amount. We have not gone through budgeting yet.
Right.
We may still be able to have a flat budget and absorb that increased cost. So, the budget doesn't happen in a vacuum related to this. So, I mean, there's ways to make up for that.
Yeah, and I've just got your,
Well,
So whichever one we choose, we're gonna lock in for a year. This will be up again in a year.
Always. It'd be
Always.
great to negotiate. Yes.
we've
That
tried.
gives y'all something to do for the rest of the year.
Yeah, we tried.
Death, taxes, and insurance.
Taxes and
renewals.
insurance, yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so currently, based off of your current enrollments, your current plans, Holly Navarre, for their employees, are paying $1.32 million annually. Okay? If you stayed with your current plan for Holly Navarre, I pulled everybody else out of this, you would be paying 1.42 million, almost, 1.427 million.
repeat that last sentence, please.
It's $1,427,319. That would be your cost for the health care this year.
So it's,
Ancillary included.
That's just the medical. I just pulled the medical into that, yeah, because I'd have to run a completely different
Okay.
report. Your current spend for your medical, based off of what we have enrolled currently, is $1,320,815. That's for Holly Navarre Water System.
What number was that again? You said current spend?
Current,
What is that?
current cost for your medical cost, your current medical cost, yeah, it's
You know what I mean?
$1,320,815,
See if we can
right there.
get somewhere. Do we need a unanimous?
We don't need to be
No.
unanimous, no, not at all.
I like the idea of saving some money by going to the HMO plan and giving the employee the option of, buying up to the PPO if they feel like they need it. Just how would that work, as far as, would that work well with payroll and deductions and all that? Is that an easy thing to do?
Yeah, the bigger problem more is the education to the employees to make sure the ones that need the buy-up are educated properly and make that decision, make an informed decision, because if they're affected by the prescription drug issue, for instance, they would need to know that, make that informed decision before October 1st that they need to do that. So we'd have to do that through that open enrollment
That
process.
to be done pretty quick.
And that's what we do. We could be in as early as next Monday, not next Monday, let me back that up.
Once we have the
Yeah.
contribution structure and the chosen plans, we're off and running.
Yeah.
It's just getting to that point.
We are booked up through next week is what I wanted to say with our open enrollments. We could be in the week after. However, back to staying with Florida Blue, it's not going to be difficult to make that switch. We will come in, just like I mentioned last time, I come in every year and I educate employees, and we'll go over all of this in detail with them. We'll go over it line by line. But the other thing that we do is we bring that drug list with us. And if there's somebody that wants to talk about their drugs and says, this is what I'm paying now, what will I be paying? We can help them make that determination.
Okay.
and your computations were based on how many Holly Navarre Water System employees?
I'm showing 58 currently enrolled.
And those figures were only for the medical,
Correct.
not for the ancillary like vision, dental, life insurance,
Correct.
short and long-term
Yes, I
disability.
just
That's
pulled-
separate.
That's separate.
When I computed Okay, 58. We're like $22,000 per employee just on the medical, not talking about all the other stuff. So when you roll in the other stuff, are we at like 25,000 per employee?
Again, I will have to pull that. It depends if because, you know, you can enroll an employee, only employee, spouse, child, and family
Right.
coverage, right?
Right.
Varies from one employee to the
Yeah,
next.
it varies. It's, you know.
I'm estimating that's around $100 to $120,000, roughly speaking, what the ancillary is.
Right.
So another 2,000 per employee, probably. Yeah. Rob, I got a question. How do you feel? Where are you leaning on this issue right now?
I'm leaning towards the HMO with the buy-up.
With the buyout? Okay. And Mike, what are you thinking?
I was thinking that part of your compensation working here is the healthcare. But if Rob and Carmen, if we're leaning towards HMO, I'll get on board. It's a good bit of money.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I certainly don't want to take anything from anybody. I know there's probably just a handful of people that work here that are going to be really affected. Most of the folks won't. I'm just leaning toward trying to save this company some money until we can get stable. And if we were,
If it was disruptive, it seems like in a year we could get this addressed and find out maybe where some of the shortcomings were, if it was some kind of, Jeff?
I was going to echo what Mike was alluding to. It is used as a recruiting tool. It
Yeah.
is a critical part of the benefits package. I'll give you an example. We had an employee leave recently, went to work for over at one of the bases, and he's actually coming back, and healthcare is one of the reasons.
yeah.
He left to get a higher hourly rate.
Yeah.
Because he was offered more money. And then when he got in his new job and started looking at total cost of everything, he did come back. So it's certainly viewed as an employee benefit, and there's probably some folks that, you know, that's why they took the job. So it's a,
And I think it still will be, right? Even if we go with the
Still
HMO
will.
plan, because they're paying no premium.
that's correct.
That's huge.
That's
That's
right.
That is.
huge.
That is really huge. We do not
It's
have
huge.
hardly any.
You never
of those.
see that these
No,
days.
you're
Not in,
exactly
not in
right.
Yeah, I was hoping you
government,
guys
not
could
anywhere.
And
speak
Mike,
to that
I
a
mean,
little
that is a
bit.
good point. I was thinking that several times, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it truly is, you know, it is insurance, but this is a part of their compensation.
Yes.
And if you looked at what the overall, you know, compensation package is, the cost of these benefits, employees need to understand how much that, because that, you know, it's not just, let's say, a $30,000 salary, it's really a $50,000 salary, you know.
Yeah.
income.
And it's going up exponentially every year. I mean, we're looking at 10, 15% increase
Well,
every
that's
year.
why I was in favor of the rate increase, because of all these other increases.
Yep.
We had to get ahead of them. We were already behind, so
Yep.
it was like the golf course and no wind, you know? I felt like we could get ahead a little bit, so we can get ahead for a season, a year. I like to say season, you know, but
Can you give us an idea of what the buy-up might be for, like, say, a family of 4?
yeah,
It's
that's a
on
good
here.
one.
It's
Yeah.
on
Thank you.
here.
It's on that
It's in
sheet,
here, right?
actually.
543.
It would be a
Per month.
specialty case though, right? Like somebody's
It's
ill,
on the
somebody's
right
Yeah.
side.
freaking cancer or
we-
something?
yeah.
I don't know. You tell me.
So in order for a family to buy up
HMO.
from the HMO to the PPO, it would cost a family $543.97 a month. That's
So
to
you
buy
cut
up
that in
from the-
half because you're getting 2 paychecks, so.
Yeah.
Do something
Yeah.
to paycheck.
And I just did the math, just so you guys, just give you one more number. If you guys move to the HMO and you move to, you know, that's what Holly Navarre Water was going to be contributing, that amount, the full HMO, you know, premium for the HMO. Your annual spend would be $1,177,230 for your employees.
Okay.
That's with the same, everybody enrolled in the same tier of
How
coverage.
about, is there,
Wait. Have her repeat, please, that last sentence.
If you guys started contributing to the HMO and had employees buy up to the PPO, your annual spend on the HMO for your employees' health care costs, just for their medical insurance, would be $1,177,230
For the Holly Navarro.
for the
employees only.
Holly
Navarro
Valley
only.
water only. So, and that would save you,
over 300 grand.
Yeah, or more.
oops, hang on.
And it's a minimal
300,
impact is
yeah.
what she was
What
saying
about
earlier.
the drug side of it? Because that was maybe a sticking point for me for,
250 grand.
can they buy up on the prescription plan?
No, you
No?
gotta buy up,
Set
if you
with that
want,
plan.
yeah.
It's set with a plan,
If
so
you
then
want the
they-
current drug benefits, you gotta be on the current.
Okay, okay.
It's not like a menu where you can pick and choose.
Correct.
Well, that's
But-
what I was like, let's do that.
Well, again, a prime example, and we did talk about this at our last meeting, is GoodRx. We educate on GoodRx every time we educate employees. It's become very popular. Even your pharmacies will run your medications through GoodRx now to see if there's any additional savings. And a lot of times you can find additional savings by utilizing those coupons.
Yeah.
And the coupons aren't always for specialty medicines. They can be for tier 1 or tier 2 and tier 3 drugs as well. Just depends on what that manufacturer has out there.
But it is true to say that with the 20% specialty bracket there on the 3-tier plan, there still would be the options of the GoodRx and possibly manufacturer coupons
Yes.
to offset some of that.
But if I was at open enrollment, and if I knew that I was on one of these high-cost
you
drugs,
mentioned.
I'd buy up like that.
You'd buy
I
up,
mean,
because you just know in the
It would be a
numbers.
no-brainer
Yeah.
type of financial decision, and that's why we recommend keeping this plan, because it'll be very, if I'm young and invincible, HMO is gonna work for me all day long, and I'm happy as a clam on it. If I have issues or a condition that I know of, maybe it may not be a condition that, but I'm taking a medication, the buy-up would be the plan for me. So we can-
The only other question I have
Another thing-
on a family though, you have to buy up for the whole family if you have your family
Yes,
insurance.
correct.
Well, and I was just going to point that out as
Yeah.
well, right? If now, when you have those people, those family, right, the folks that are covering their family, maybe they have a spouse who can get coverage at their own job, and they can get, and it might help Holly Navarre also cut the cost there, because now you're not covering every spouse that's with Holly Navarre employees, right? You might be, some of those spouses may be coming off because they can get something, the PPO plan, if you will, at their job if that's what they
Yeah,
need.
that's even something we want to look at in the future as possible incentives to get employees to do
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
There's a name for that.
I just don't want to lose anybody.
Some employers actually.
That's my
if you
concern.
have-
That's what I'm getting
I know.
at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, stipends.
Yes,
It's called the
yeah.
Like,
stipend.
Yeah.
do it, and then we pay the price. I'm like, oh, God.
I think from what she was saying earlier though, the
Yeah.
impact would be minimal. Because of the people that were using out of network was super minimal.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, the
shocking.
out-of-network
That
wasn't the
yeah.
big concern, it was the high drug cost to a small number of employees that we know are
what I
utilizing
was
those
picking up
specialty
on.
medications. That's why I hesitated in the first workshop
Right.
from fully endorsing the HMO, because I started to, be legitimately concerned about the effects on those employees, that we've talked through some of those mitigations, and you came back with the 3-tier, so there was some improvements there, so.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
call on Mr. Don Linnell one more time.
Thanks, be quick.
Yeah.
What is it, 2586 Second Court?
You're-
First, the idea of offering the HMO with a buy-up to the PPO, as the only member here, I'll put in, I think that's the way to go, personally, from one member vote. I mean, you're breaking that barrier of employees contributing for health. That's, the last several boards have all alluded, we have to start doing something like that, including myself.
Yep.
Based on past experience. So I think that's good. What was the other thing I was going to ask?
Mr. Linnell, could it have been clarification on Tier 3 and Tier
No.
7?
No, I don't get into the weeds.
And tier 3 and tier 7 was literally a very minimal cost shift. By going from tier 7 to a 7-tier pharmacy to a 3-tier pharmacy, we picked up additional 1.4%. That was like.
It's not worth the cost savings for the potential
Yeah.
hurdles that somebody would run into.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I think we all agree on that.
Especially when there's already, 12% of savings from having the HMO.
That's right. Oh, it's,
So I remember the other comment, if I may interrupt. Can I
Yeah,
speak
of
again?
course. Go ahead,
Okay.
Mr.
The other
Lynn.
thing, I agree with what David said. He said, you know, employer-paid health cares, I think he used the word, they never happen. Normally, I don't like absolute, so I wouldn't say never, but I think what's important, and you guys might know, is, okay, you can't go across industries. I can tell you, defense industry doesn't do it, but what does Pace do, and Milton do, and Gulf Breeze, Midway, Fort Walton? I mean, if they're all employer paid, now you got an issue. If they're not, it's not as big an issue. I understand one guy coming back because he found out, hey, the government doesn't contribute 100% for your medical plan, but you know, what are your competitors doing? That's all. That's something that needs to be
And
considered.
speaking on our book of business alone, right, speaking our,
Please.
and I can't talk on Pace Water, we don't have them, this is our water company, right? But we have companies that they offer a high deductible plan at no cost to the employee only. You have to buy up to your spouse, you have to buy up for your children, you have to buy up for your family. Also, if you want a richer benefit, you have to buy up to that richer benefit. So it's like, they call it a base plan, right? With a high deductible, because that's where that lower premium is. And so employees can either take that low-cost plan and not pay a minimal amount, but if they want something richer and they want to start covering their family members, they're having to contribute towards that.
So same concept
Yeah.
we're talking about with this model.
And
Yeah.
that's what when we were starting to look at plans, we looked at a lot of different options. This one, because your HMO, the network is probably, there might be a slight disruption, but your plans are so closely mirrored that the majority of your employees are not going to feel any impact from that.
Hey, Jeff, I have a quick question for you. What were they doing at your last job?
So my last job was a municipality, and we did have to pay for some.
You
of
had
the
to pay
family
premiums,
coverage,
right?
yes.
All the employees?
Portion, yeah.
Okay. All right.
You know, and I did want to add just one other thing, because looking at this renewal, I realize no one's ever excited about any level of increase, so the 7% increase, but in our world, unfortunately, we jump for joy when we run into this situation, especially when we have the ability to even consider a plan with a negative in front of it. So over the last 4 months, we have received a consistent, with our rounds of renewals coming in, mid-market, so that means 50 employees to 300 employees, and really Florida Blue or the carriers do not segregate whether it's private industry or governmental or whatever. We have had every single month at least one 40+% renewal, and it is due to usage and high cost claimants and these types of things, and they come back with the hammer and they come after you hard, and we negotiate, and sometimes we get lucky with getting it back down underneath a manageable. But we were just talking to Florida Blue Rep yesterday, and they had 98, and she was saying, I just had a 98%, we negotiated 72%. I mean, it's baffling to even imagine absorbing something like that, but we are scared every single month when these things are coming out.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen, and you always hope that somebody's there to save the day, like another carrier that allows us to go back and negotiate with whoever the enforced carrier is. But we're very pleased that we actually have this ability to talk about this, because like we were saying, this is a huge piece of the compensation package, and will continue to be so going into the future.
We've renewed a lot of insurances this year for different reasons, and this is the first time we've seen a negative number, offered to us. So and it's going up exponentially every year. It doesn't seem, the state of the healthcare system in this country, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any stopping.
Is there any way you can give me an idea of an average hourly pay for, say, a 5-year employee? to see, kind of figure out what that impact might be if they had to buy up for themselves or
When you
family.
say, you mean someone that's worked here 5 years or
Yes.
someone that started at the bottom?
Someone that's
and
been here 5 years.
Well, I mean, that, if you came in at I think you're getting more to the distribution. I mean, we have a lot of employees that make, under $25 an hour.
Right.
So they're impacted by any additional, more proportionally, they're impacted.
Right.
But, that's where it hits them, is the employees on the lower end of the scale would be affected.
My guess is, though, a lot of those employees that are on the lower end of the scale are probably younger employees that don't have as many.
It would skew younger, but they certainly could have families at, at that age.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
It does skew younger, that is correct.
Yeah, so the need for them to buy up is probably a little less than someone that might be older that, has more chronic
You just
health
hit the
issues
nail on
and
the
things
head.
like that, yeah.
You hit the nail on the head right there.
I understand that at some point we might have to get to where, our employees have to pay for coverages for their families, but I don't see us going that route tonight.
Not
So
tonight, no.
I think we're down to two plans, and I really think the fiscally responsible thing to do is to go with that HMO plan, since it does give them the option. They stay in network, and it gives them the option to buy up if they feel like they need to do that. So are we to a
I'm
point where I
ready
think
to-
we can make a motion?
Yeah.
I was gonna
I
ask,
am.
yeah.
I
I think
am.
everybody's ready for a motion here.
I'd like to make that motion that we approve the HMO plan at a total annual cost of $1,569,916.04.
All right, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Hold on.
We got a second? Mr. Matthews? Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Ms. Reynolds?
I know we're kind of trying to adapt with some limitations here, but we have a fiduciary responsibility down the road, if we're not going to do anything tonight or on the 16th, to, number one, ensure that these discussions happen much sooner than, aren't they going to be implemented in October? Didn't you say they go in force in October? So this conversation, I would ask that it would start a lot sooner next year than a couple, 2 months before, so we've got plenty of time to deliberate.
Well, we can talk strategically, but I don't think we can get pricing.
It's the renewal. We have to wait for the renewal.
Well, you can certainly
to
talk
come.
strategically,
Yeah, but we can-
especially on the contribution side of things. You can talk.
I also think that we could have allotted ourselves more time. And I knew that was going to be an issue when we only gave ourselves an hour to talk about.
And that was
the
my
last
fault. I
meeting.
apologize for that.
No, it wasn't. It was just, it's just, I've been through these meetings many times at different companies I work for, and I know it's a lot to absorb, and
I was
there's
glad
all
you
these
were.
different options. And we obviously, none of us were prepared to make a decision but after, looking at it, thinking about it for a while and having this discussion, I think maybe next year we can do that. We'll, or you guys, I won't be here. But,
Well, and that could be a task. I mentioned having a benefits committee. They could be tasked with looking at some of
That's
that stuff.
perfect, yeah.
And that vehicle, that's how those
and
conversations
they could bring
go.
the recommendations and
And
the
the benefits
reasons
committee
behind
can
it.
report to the board in the spring, we're talking about this, we're talking about that. Now, the benefits committee's not gonna come up and say, we want, reduced benefits, that's not gonna be their thing, but that's the vehicle to have those discussions.
But that benefits committee could also bring forward what the other water companies are currently doing with their health care.
Absolutely.
And it could recommend a survey to see which of these ancillary programs they could potentially do without, or would they rather kick in portions of the premium. I just think we've passed a 12% increase on to the members for the next 3 years, and then 3% after that subsequently, interminably, ad nauseum, ad infinitum. And we have to look at cost cutting so that we can accommodate the out-of-cycle needs of this company. So,
Well, just to correct real quick, that we only voted for the 12%
One 12%
increase.
increase.
The recommendation was to do that twice, and then after that, increase it an additional 3%.
no, he recommended it three times,
12, 12,
and 12.
no, I don't
No.
think so.
Yeah, just twice.
12,
But
12,
you still haven't voted on that
But,
one.
yeah,
That
only the
that
first
vote comes in
12% is-
January anyway, but,
Everything else is
yeah.
TBD.
Right.
But, and to your point, I mean, you guys are paying for the dental and the vision, right? That's not historically something that employers pay for,
No.
especially for the entire family
Yep.
unit, right?
Yep.
And we understand that your benefits package is part of your compensation package, so, we're very mindful of that, right? And that's why we worked through this, and, we were trying to bring you solutions that would save money and be less
Yeah.
impactful.
I hate to muddy the waters and bring up a third option, but as we were sitting here talking, there would be an option of, you could go with this PPO plan, and you could make, unless I misunderstood, you could make other than the life, you could make all the ancillary fall on the contribution side of things. In other words,
The disability, we could not do that.
Can't do
with-
that?
We would have to get it requoted, Jeff.
okay, so
Yeah,
that's maybe
yeah.
not enough.
So
Okay.
the dental and the vision, we could easily transition that to employee paid.
But the other ones are kind of
The
more of a
other ones,
package,
we would
okay.
have to look at a
Or
bond.
just contributory,
Mhm.
meaning
Yeah.
and obviously, these premiums that we're talking about are very low
Right,
in
they're
comparison to what we're talking about with the medical. If I was to say that where are the monies really wrapped up, it's not the dental and the vision and these types of things. It's really dependent premiums, which are, if you just look at so let's say an employee premium is $897 a month, and I'm looking at the balance fund, just using this as an example. So the existing is $897 a month. A family premium is $2,872 a month. So that when you start to look at adding that math up, dependent premiums are
Yeah.
a large part of the cost.
So I think next year they're gonna ask you probably to come to the board here with some of those options as well.
Sure.
Because I think it's gonna have to happen. At some point, we're just gonna have to.
I think last year, what we heard was we want to make small incremental changes,
Yep.
but we want them to be impactful.
Yep.
So that's why we went in this direction.
Oh, and I think you brought us some
yeah.
excellent
Thank
options,
you.
and we
Yeah.
appreciate that
It needs to be
so much.
small baby steps.
Yes.
Is
That's right.
Yeah.
how, and really developing this contribution strategy and all that, it can be done without disrupting the employee's life
Yeah.
financially, as long as it is done.
And that's what we're trying to avoid, right?
Correct.
Because, we want to keep everybody we have, so. All right, currently we have a motion and a second to go with the Florida Blue Family Insured HMO base with PPO buyout. Is there any further discussion? All right, with no further discussion, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Pam is opposed, so we have 5-1. The motion passes, so we're going to, Carmen, you voted correct for that?
I
Okay, so the motion passes. We're going to go with the Florida Blue fully insured HMO base plan with a PPO buyout, with a three-tier drug plan.
I just have one question. We tabled the 401K change at the meeting, or we didn't take action on that at our last meeting. Is that? gonna be
Yeah,
on our
and to
agenda?
be quite honest, it was not to be considered tonight, but to be quite honest with you, part of my putting that on there was, given that we're now are going to be saving some money, maybe that should be brought back up and put on the table. And the impact of that was around $25,000 a year.
That was not a huge impact, and I was,
And it'd be a nice thing to tell the
favor of
employees,
that.
hey, we're changing the health plan slightly, but hey, we're increasing this 401K match by 1%.
I know we can't take action on that tonight, but is that going to be on our agenda? for this month?
It certainly can be, yeah.
Yeah, let's-
Let's do that.
Do
put
do
that
you
on.
guys have a stomach for that right now? But to be honest with
We
you,
we can't do anything about it tonight.
I know, no, but I'm talking about the next meeting. I personally am not gonna approve any further expenditures from this company this year unless we have to for repairs or for CIP projects or anything like that. I think that's a discussion for next year. In my opinion, I think, you know, we're talking about saving money and then we're gonna spend more money. I mean, I get it going to 5 to 6%. It's nice, but it's very minimal. And, I don't have a stomach for it, but if you guys agree to put it on the agenda and you guys want to vote on it, that's absolutely fine.
I'd like to
with
be
me.
on the agenda for discussion. We
That's
may
fine.
may
Let's
not
do
take
that,
action
yeah.
on it, but.
Yeah.
And I'll piggyback on that and say that if I see any expenditures that are optional, short of emergency repairs and things that we need to do, I want to see an equivalent offset to that expenditure before I will vote to approve it.
All right,
May I also bring up one other point?
of course.
Florida Blue is also giving you all $7,500 in wellness money this year. If you, with your permission, you know, we've talked with Jeff and Jared about, you know, starting that benefits, you know, board, whatever benefits committee. I don't know why that word was escaping me. And we can bring Florida Blue in here and they will do a health fair and they will do, you know, no cost to you guys, biometric screenings, things like that, to help identify any critical values, to help identify where do we need to educate your employees. Is it going to be high blood pressure, diabetes, those types of things. And that's all part of the Florida Blue plan and we can help you get that set up. It's just we would have a health fair and we could bring in, like I said, Florida Blue. And then also you'd have that $7,500 that you could spend for wellness initiatives throughout the year. It could be something as simple as hydration. You know, you could spend $7,500 on water during the summer for hydration, just as long as
So
you.
what are you already doing that we can use that 7,500 towards, so that that's $7,500 back in the budget?
Yeah.
That's coming free from Florida Blue. So-
And with that benefit committee, we would be happy. I've been on many benefit committees throughout my career, and I'd be happy to be a part of that benefit committee to help them lead.
And Jeff, that's something that the board would have to vote on, correct, to approve the benefit committee, or is that something you could put together yourself?
I think if the board members are going to sit on it, it should be board action. If it's a staff committee, I can make a staff committee. But I thought the way we talked about it would be there'd be 2 board members on it. So I think the creation of the committee probably would need a vote.
Okay, well, let's add that to the agenda
So add
this
the,
month as well.
I will add one more thing to that. Historically, we see members, employees who are on the health plan being part of that committee only because they help engage other people with wellness initiatives, getting out there and walking and things like that.
We were with a very large employer this week, and they actually, in the discussion, they included just kind of a representative of the employee population.
yeah, the makeup was thought to be 5 employees, 2 board members, something like that. And then we could call on you for advice. You wouldn't necessarily be able to be a member of it, but you would.
Right, I
provide
can just,
input.
yeah, for
Right,
the
right.
committee, yeah, right,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's a great idea. And I think having the health fair is an excellent idea as well.
Perfect,
that
yeah.
would be-
I
that
will
would be
work
great.
with Florida Blue. Generally, we need about a 90-day lead time, and I can work that
Sure.
through Jared and Jeff.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? We've got a motion?
Second.
Got a second.